So you want to get more engagement on your author content on social media, but you're not sure how? Let's talk about controversial versus polarizing content. Now, you probably have heard that if you want to get engagement, you need to be controversial. You need to pick a side of something and you need to have people side with you and against you, and it's a whole thing. But typically, controversial content tends to be negative. It tends to not be so great. You have to pick a side of a political thing or a religious thing or whatever, something that makes people angry. And that is not what we need. That's not what you need to do. And that's certainly not what you need to be dragging into your author platform. Instead of controversial, you need polarizing content. So you do want to pick a side of something, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. We are going to, as authors, be polarizing. You want to draw in the right audience and repel the wrong audience. You want to make sure that you are building people on your team. You're forming the side that you want, but not necessarily in a negative way that's repelling other people in a bad sense. You just want to be, I'm on this side and people can have another opinion. So in terms of author content, you're going to think about things like tropes, right? So we want to think about something that is going to be polarizing. Enemies to lovers. People are either going to love it or they're going to hate it. And there's no right or wrong answer to that. Polarizing, not controversial. So with that in mind, I need you to start picking sides, and this is going to align with the genres and the tropes and the things that you write with. And now you need to create content that is specific to those polarizing topics. So if you are doing something like enemies to lovers, and you are a big fan of enemies to lovers, your books are enemies to lovers, now you're creating content about enemies to lovers, but you have to very strongly pick a side. And it's not that you're saying, well, this is the best side and this is the worst side. You are only saying why you love that side. Just talk about the good that you like about it, the benefits to it, why you love enemies to lovers, why you like certain phrases or certain setups or certain tropes within enemies to lovers. Talk about how you've implemented it into your book. You're just leaning into that trope or that genre, the polarizing piece of content. And you're not saying, well, enemies to lovers is the best and friends to lovers is the worst. We're not saying that. We're just saying why we like enemies to lovers. This is going to draw in the right people. And people who don't like it will be, say it with me, repelled. We are looking to be polarizing. Think magnets, guys. You were holding up your magnet. You remember back in elementary school when we had those magnets that picked up the little magnetic discs? We're thinking about that. We're holding that up and we're going to get those people who are attracted to it and get the people who are repelled away from it. So pick some tropes, pick some genres, and then lean into the content. But not just one-off pieces of content. It has to be a reoccurring theme in what you're doing. So look at everything that you've written. Look at all the content that you've created and start to pick out some themes. You can do some here and there of all the things, but I want you to pick a couple that you want to heavily lean into because you are building an audience around this. You're building a community for conversation. You want to talk about it a lot, once a week, twice a week. You want to be having some sort of conversation about it because that's going to draw in those people. So as you are going through the content you've already created and thinking ahead to the content you know you're going to be creating for your novels, what are some reoccurring themes? Do you do a lot of enemies to lovers? Or have you only done it once and you're doing a bunch of other things? If you do it a lot, if you've done it more than once, if you have plans to do it again, maybe lean into that one. But if that was a one-off story that you wrote and you kind of would rather lean into some other things, maybe don't do that one because you're bringing in people who want to see more of that. They want to have the conversations. They want to build the friendships. They want to read the books. They want to discuss why it's so cool. And you will have people in your comments when you start asking questions and having those hooks in your videos and the content you're putting out there. When you start facilitating that conversation, you're going to have people in your comments who are, yes, I am all about that. I want to talk about that. That's why I love it too. I love it because of this. You build up that audience. You build up that community. You're also going to get people who say, I see it differently. I don't love that. That's not what I like. And sometimes you'll get some nasty people. You will, because that's just the way of social media. But for the most part, people will be open to discussion, especially in the book community. We love to have discussions on why we love this or why we don't like this and all of those things. So we're creating polarizing content. Think about what you can do that is not controversial and related to your books, related to the things that you've written, related to your characters, related to whatever you want to build in your bookish community. Because remember, as an author, the content you're putting out there is not all salesy. It's not all about what you've written. You are establishing yourself as an authority in whatever space you want to be in. It can be a genre, it can be a trope, it can be whatever, but you are establishing yourself as that authority. So the more you talk about this, the higher your ranking as an authority is going to, it's going to be created that way. So you want to make sure that as you're doing this, you have just a couple of things that you talk about a lot. The rest you can talk about whenever, however you want, but those are not the things you talk about a lot. Pick 1, 2, maybe 3 topics that you talk about a lot. And those are the things you're heavily leaning into, and touch on them once, twice a week so that people are consistently seeing that content. You are going to draw those people in. The more you discuss enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, one bed, the more you discuss the villain who is protecting the main character, whatever it happens to be. Be that person, be the authority on it, and be the person that yaps about that a lot on your platforms. And when you do, you're gonna find other people who want to talk about those things too. They want the conversations just as much as you do, so you're the one to facilitate those. Go through everything you've got, figure out your topics, and now be polarizing as heck on your social platforms, and do not be controversial. We're not pitting our communities against each other. We do not want to pit readers against each other. We want to just draw in the people who want to have those conversations and allow the other people to go have the other conversations elsewhere. Friendly, cordial, polite, inspiring, engaging content about the things that you love to draw in the people who will also love those things to be a part of your community on social media. Polarizing over controversial. And I know, this is it's going to seem like a lot of work, but it is going to work really, really well for you. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. Gemma agrees with me. She's in her crate right now because it's late. But we want to make sure that you are creating content that establishes your community. Follow along for more ideas on how you can be creating easy content in your social media to develop your community and facilitate that conversation. We're dropping daily videos to help you navigate the world of publishing, from writing to publishing to marketing your books, to make this your most profitable year ever, with less time, with less stress, and with more luxury time in your business, because it's working on your behalf while you are busy living your best life and living out your other dreams. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.